Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul.
And Paul, we're here to talk about some serious action.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the action movie, and we're specifically talking about where his kind of the action stars at the level of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Claude Van Damme, those kind of high stakes ones have gone because we do have Vin Diesel, Rock, and Jason Statham, but they've come in at the tail end and kind of dwindled off now. So it's kind of like where has action movies gone, where the action movie
Yeah.
like star has gone.
Oh, it's definitely changed over the years, Paul. It's definitely changed. It's worth talking about. And you know what? I'm going to probably throw up a few graphics here and there. So, what I can tell you is I grew up on action movies. I grew up on Chuck
Yeah,
Norris, Delta Force. We all grew up on Arnold Schwarzenegger because he made, after Terminator and Conan, like his career just took off and he was making Running Man and Predator and Commando. He typified the action meme of, the big bicep handshake in Predator, or the suiting up and putting bullets and knives into his vests, boots, legs, arms, shoulders, wrist. Probably had one in it as a bobbin in his hair, but they had to cut that in Commando. So there was a time when it was about how many grenades you had hanging off yourself. Nothing exemplifies that era better than the fact that Sylvester Stallone made First Blood. It wasn't called
yeah.
Rambo. He made what I think is an amazing film that was a look at veterans returning from war and PTSD, way ahead of its
Hmm.
time. But by the time it came out as a part two, it was called Rambo 2. And his muscles were bigger, the bullets and explosions were more plentiful. It was like they took the end scene where there was lots of bullets being fired and like, there's a category of people that still want that more. The
Yeah.
1980s, Paul, we had action stars. We had Planet Hollywood, launched by, Arnie and Bruce. And I can't remember who the other ones were. But you had some serious muscly dudes blowing shit up.
This is
That
the
all
thing. We
changed.
had
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It did all change, and we do still have action movies and stuff, but like
Mm.
to me, they've split now into kind of more like I guess less hyper action to more realistic action, I guess, in a kind of fashion, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Because like we have Jason Bourne and we had like which was John Wick and nobody as well. Nobody's a little bit on the edge of kind of realism, I guess, kind of thing. But we had these kind of films come out which are a lot more kind of grounded,
Mm.
whereas the classic action film is like massive explosions, a large amount of like ammo being dispensed and stuff, and it's just like and then it's just a genre that's just kind of disappeared. And now is it that it's become unpopular? I don't entirely know. I think it's more the fact that I think I just think that the stomach for it or the
Mm.
taste of kind of like movie makers has kind of gone away from that. I don't think, and I think audiences also have slightly been averted away from it in the sense of kind of like we can't like those kind of things anymore because they're ridiculous,
Yeah, I
kind of
think
thing.
yeah, I think the action set piece. So explosions never went away, but some of the
No.
things that changed over time. And I think Jason Statham's an interesting person from an action star point of view because he bridged an era.
Mm,
Transporter came along, and once they realized Jason Statham was quite the martial artist, they were able to start using him as that placeholder action star because Jean-Claude Van Damme was aging out of popularity, let's say. Not his physical age, just I think his time had come and gone. So Statham started filling that in. But then, like you saw, as you say, you had more sophisticated action, and I don't mean that the others are bad movies. Just you had the Jason Bourne, where they're like action set pieces, and you had Arnold Schwarzenegger blowing 30 to 40, like Hot Shots Part Two took the mick out of Rambo movies and stuff like that because you were blowing away 50, 60, 70, 80. RoboCop is killing like 400 people every scene. Whereas now one big Tom Cruise running across, a high-rise building and maybe shooting one guy with a tranquilizer dart was the new action in some ways. Or you had the sophisticated end like John Wick, which I think The Matrix helped bring in. The Matrix was a turning point of action, but it has to be slick. There's going to be stylized. There still may be explosions everywhere, but there's going to be bullet time and slow motion, or in the case of John Wick, fancy reloads. He's still
High
kicking ass
choreographed.
nonstop, but it's not do it and then say a one liner because you happen to be the most massive guy in the room.
Yeah, choreograph of like fight scenes became a lot more, and not even like martial art level, just gunplay kind of ones, kind of thing has become much more of a higher kind of like or more sought after kind of genre of action movie. But it's just interesting. Like, is it like why, from an audience standpoint, do you think that it's our fault that we have essentially lost the stomach of those kind of movies, or is it like popular culture is that we're not allowed like them? Because like Top Gun, although not like like gunning and running kind of action movie, was still an action movie, but
Yeah.
it was incredibly popular, and it kind of shows that you like there is a stomach out there for it. There is a taste for audiences to enjoy that kind of popcorn level action. Even with Tom Cruise and stuff like that, I know that we were saying he's less of a kind of traditional action star, but um, it did show that I always find that it feels like those we can't like things unironically anymore.
Yeah. I,
Like, and it feels like the action film is kind of gotten caught up in that kind of level of stuff, where it
yeah.
needs to be a little bit more sophisticated so that you can be like, well, I like it because it's about the CIA, like
Yeah.
programs of brainwashing people, kind of thing. Not, yeah, it's a guy and his daughter. His daughter got kidnapped, and now he's going to kill everybody in the world. You
Well,
know,
as you pointed out, though, what you're talking about when you say action film, there's a couple of branches to that tree now. There's films with action in it. There are action movies that are popcorn spectaculars, and then there is the action movie star in the running and gunning, nail them to the door with a knife and say stick around, to get to the choppers of this world. But again,
yeah,
all of those were mixed in with other things. But the idea of just action stars carrying things,
mm.
it still exists, Paul. I think it still exists, but you're right. There's now a certain I'm just gonna call it a snobbery because I'm gonna say that I am the snob. I love Jason Statham. Like as an actor, I actually, first thing I saw him in was Lock Stock, I think. He's
Yeah,
guy can act. He's a good actor. He's been able to act in plenty of things. Now he's making a living making a lot of, kick puncher movies that I still find very enjoyable. But there is a snobby part of me that goes, oh, that's that kind of action movie. There's this other kind of action movie where I can feel safer among my friends who are sipping wine and eating, foie gras or whatever the hell it is that rich people do. So I don't think that the movies have changed. I think where they're pitched and aimed and how they're budgeted has changed. Because I don't
yeah,
think, and the Expendables is a wonderful arc of that. Because the first Expendables was the recognition of the change. And that's like, we're going to get loads back. And, Terry Crews has a shotgun that they turned up the cinema for so that we would all go, oh, yeah, I remember big bang guns. Wow. But as the Expendable franchise went on, it ceased to be, this kind of recognition of change and started becoming a love letter to a time that had then already been bygone. And by the time Expendables 4 came out, it was bordering on parody of knowing the time is done for these things. We're not going to have a Stallone Schwarzenegger who's got the biggest biceps, full genre cinemas. But we're still going to have it straight to DVD. We're still going to have it, which is straight to streaming now for anybody who's not old enough to remember straight to.
yeah.
I only got used to stopping saying straight to video. Then I had to say straight to DVD. Now I just got to say streaming movie. Sorry. But yeah, Paul, I think yes to all of the propositions you put forward. I think it's a combination of those things. Do I ever see run and gun action coming back? Only if you see the A-Team or a TV show like it show up on a Saturday afternoon. Because there was, a lot of people forget, there was a whole culture of having stormtrooper level aim and just having machine guns firing was
Yeah.
action on TV at one point. They're not hitting anything because it was for kids, but still bang, 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 bang. I don't think that that's novel enough anymore.
Yeah, I get you. I get that it's like you can do it in two. We can always look at it in two fashions. I guess we can look at it as we as an audience have now no longer able to kind of say what we like, kind of thing, unless like with our friends groups, because everybody's got this like now prearranged notions about
Yeah.
movies. Or the other side is that yeah, just the general audience have become more sophisticated. They do want more story driven movies and stuff like that. So there's the two kind of, I guess, the two for the audience. There's the two kind of elements to it. Um, but I do think that yeah, the action star is now going. I don't think we're ever going to get back to the action star
Yeah.
kind of thing. I think we'll get back to a star who does action movies, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
That's a
You
really
know,
good way of putting it. I think that's exactly it. And you can trace this over time. You can trace the change in people's tastes, but obviously everything is driven by business, like we always say. And
hmm,
for a while there, things like Extraction, they weren't cinema movies. There's a lot of money to be made covering action in streaming with mainstream stars. So there's this other hybrid of we want to have action stars. We just don't want them always to be action stars.
yeah,
So, like Jason Statham is an action star, but he can do other things. Chris Hemsworth is an action star, but he can do other things. He's more of a tentpole movie or a popcorn movie star in some ways. That he's known for big movies. So if you put him in Extraction and throw it on Netflix, people are like, Thor is in a shooty movie. This could be
hmm,
good. And then people realize for years, how many people, talked about The Raid and things like that going, these are amazing movies. You have to watch them. And in highbrow circles, people were like, oh, it's great. You can love The Raid. Because obviously it's a foreign film. So that got it by somehow. But things like Extraction are The Raid in the modern era.
yeah. It's an interesting one. Do you ever think that they're going to come? So do you ever think
Hmm.
like at some point we will get back to that? Because I feel that you're right, that movie stars know the fact that there's a downside to being typecast as the action movie, so they may be trying to avoid that themselves. But we also have seen Arnold and Sylvester do action films, then move into other genres
Yep.
and do really well.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, is it typecasting, or is it just that you don't want to get locked in for a while into one specific movie like group for a while, kind of thing? Because that's my last question. Is literally
Yeah.
just
Will
like,
Will it ever
does
come
is
back?
well, is typecasting causing it never to come back? Like, is the worry of being typecast as an action star,
Yeah.
will
And
that be the final wall to it ever coming back?
well, the simple test cases for that are The Rock and John Cena. So The Rock is arguably the last big muscles, massive muscles. And I know people are going to talk about, Drax and other things and everything that Batista's gone on to do. But as far as being an actor who's also physically huge and that's part of your action calling card, look at The Rock's box office. When he was doing pure action, that was to get his foot in the door. He tried to diversify as quick as he could. John
Hmm.
Cena, like Peacemakers made him more of a household name. And yes, he needs to have the muscles to pull that off. But we're in an era now where people take on a Marvel movie and go from being, a weed to being muscle bound. Like people bulk up. They didn't start
Yeah.
off as big and that's what gave them the career. So yeah, I don't even think typecasting's an option for those people anymore. I think it's expected. If you're big, your foot in the door is going to be the action. If you can act, then we'll use that instead of getting somebody else to bulk up for a role.
Okay.
And that's
Interesting. Yeah.
that's my take on it. Will it ever come back? I don't think it's ever going to go away. I just don't think we'll be seeing it in the top screen opening night Friday in the cinema.
Yeah, yeah, the evolution of it is no longer a
Yeah,
theater or box, like prime
Yeah.
release day kind of thing.
There's still money
Okay.
there, but it's not that money. So what's your final take on it, Paul? You can walk us out.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think there's hurdles there for ever to come back, in the sense that I do think that audiences have become more jaded and also sophisticated. I do think that actors themselves are also causing it to be more of a harder thing to become the de facto action star
Yeah.
kind of thing. I think it's a pity though, because I think that without those kind of level of action films, I think it shows that action films like that, the parody films like we had before, and like other comedy films that we've also had are all now going to go out, because the audiences and the businesses don't feel like they have the taste for it anymore.
Yeah.
And I do think that there is a market there. I think that people want a market. I think like Leslie Nielsen's Naked Gun did show that there is a market there, because it did all right, kind of thing. And I have heard several people saying it's very funny. So like,
And Neeson's
I do
a
think
good
that there
example
is
between Taken and Naked Gun. Like he's covering an awful lot of what we're talking about, weirdly too.
Yeah, so like, yeah, it's a pity. It's a pity that kind of like genre of, or like, that kind of elements of action movies is probably no longer, we're never going to see their like again.
Yeah.
I think it's a pity. I think it's just, a closing of the curtain. And
Give it
taking the last
time.
bow
The
for
Western
certain
will
things.
eventually come back too. Everything will have its day, just whether or not it'll be in our lifetime, who knows? Because if you notice,
that's very
Paul,
true.
retro becomes cool, just never when you expect it.
That is true.
Yeah. I wish we were in the same room now, because I would definitely do the you son of a bitch
Yeah.
handshake, bicep ourselves up to end the show.
But what do you guys think? What do you think that the action film like Commando and which goes Rambo and stuff like that will ever come back in the same way that they have before? And also, do you think that the action star will ever return in the way that it has before, or do you think that typecasting has now become a big worry for actors? Let us know in the comments down below. And of course, which is like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and let us know any ideas that you guys want us to look at. And otherwise, I've been Paul.
And I've been Patrick.
And we've been here at Site. We'll talk to you later.
See you next time.